The rain poured relentlessly over the dimly lit alley, each drop bouncing off the cracked pavement like nature's own symphony of sorrow. Under the flickering light of a half-broken street lamp, a young woman knelt beside a rusty outdoor sink, her hands red and raw from the icy water. Beside her stood a little boy, no older than 6, clutching a small, threadbare towel around his shoulders. His eyes followed her every move, filled with quiet trust that she would make things better, even if the world around them didn't care. She was scrubbing a pair of tiny jeans with soap so cheap it barely frothed, yet she kept working, determined to give her son clean clothes for school tomorrow. She didn't notice the tall figure standing a few feet away, watching from the shadows, a man who wasn't supposed to be there, a man whose identity could change her life forever. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of helping others when no one's watching, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with friends, and subscribe to the channel K Stories Collection. Your engagement helps us bring more real and inspiring stories to life. The woman's name was Claire. Once upon a time, she had dreams like any other, a small bakery of her own, a home filled with warmth, the sound of her son's laughter echoing in safe walls. But life had stripped her dreams piece by piece. Her husband had left when her son, Ethan, was just a baby, taking their savings and leaving behind only debts. With no family to fall back on and no college degree, she had taken whatever work she could find. For a while, she cleaned offices at night, then worked double shifts at a diner. But when the diner closed without warning, she was left scraping for every coin, sometimes choosing between buying food or paying the electric bill. That night, the tiny apartment they called home had no running water. The pipes had burst after weeks of neglect from the landlord, and the repair wouldn't come for days. Claire couldn't afford the laundromat, every coin had been counted for rent. So she brought Ethan's school clothes to the outdoor sink 2 blocks away, the one behind an abandoned building. It wasn't safe, but she couldn't send her boy to school in dirty clothes. Her own jacket was soaked through, but she scrubbed as if the act itself was an unspoken promise, "We will survive this." The man watching her was Michael Rowan, though to her, he looked like just another passerby, perhaps even a stranger who had lost his way in the rain. In truth, Michael was the CEO of Rowan Industries, a massive clothing company with stores in every major city. But that night, he wasn't in a boardroom or behind a polished desk. He was there in jeans and an old hoodie, living incognito for a week as part of a company project to understand real customer struggles. His board thought it was unnecessary, but Michael had insisted. He wanted to see the truth behind the statistics and profit charts. Michael had already spent days volunteering at shelters, standing in food bank lines, and speaking to workers barely making ends meet. But seeing Claire in that cold rain, washing her son's clothes by hand under a broken light, hit him differently. This wasn't just about financial hardship, this was about dignity, about a mother who refused to give up. Over the next few days, Michael couldn't get her out of his mind. He saw her again 2 mornings later at a small grocery store, carefully counting change before putting back a carton of milk she couldn't afford. Ethan was with her, clutching her hand and asking nothing, but his quiet, hopeful face haunted Michael. He didn't approach, not yet. He wanted to learn her story without making her feel like a charity case. Through a casual conversation with the store clerk, he learned Claire came in often, always buying the bare essentials. She worked odd jobs, cleaning, babysitting, anything, but lately she had fewer calls for work. The clerk also mentioned Claire sometimes left flyers offering to bake small cakes for birthdays, even though she didn't have much more than an old oven in her apartment. One evening, Michael followed the sound of laughter from the park and found her playing tag with Ethan, their joy briefly erasing the weight on her shoulders. That was when he decided he couldn't just be an observer anymore. But how could he help without crushing her pride? The next day, he placed a discreet ad for part-time bakery assistants at a local community board, the kind of job that would seem random but perfect for someone with her skills. He also contacted his head office and set up a small fund to support community entrepreneurs. When Claire saw the ad, she almost didn't apply, convinced she wouldn't be chosen. But desperation overrode doubt, and 2 days later, she found herself in a warm little shop space Michael had rented just for her. He introduced himself simply as Mike, and told her he was helping a local bakery expand. He asked if she could make a few sample cakes to sell that week. When she did, they sold out in 2 hours. Michael praised her work, not with pity, but with genuine admiration for her talent. Weeks passed, and the bakery became more than a job, it became hope. Claire started earning enough to fix her apartment's water, buy Ethan new shoes, and even save a little. She still had no idea who Michael truly was, and he never hinted. But every day, as he worked beside her, he watched her confidence return. The reveal came on a rainy afternoon much like the one when they first crossed paths. Michael brought her to a large, empty storefront downtown and handed her a set of keys. Confused, she looked at him, and he finally told her the truth, that he was the CEO of Rowan Industries, that the bakery had been her project all along, and that the storefront was now hers, fully paid for. Claire stood frozen, tears mixing with the rain, unable to believe the man she thought was just her kind boss had given her a future she thought she'd lost forever. Ethan ran into her arms, smiling up at Michael. For the first time in years, Claire didn't just feel relief, she felt like she was standing at the start of a brand new life. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the Channel K Stories collection, and let us know in the comments how acts of kindness have changed your life. Your words inspire us to keep telling these stories. Special request to comment: what would you do if you were Michael? Would you reveal who you were from the start, or wait until the right moment like he did? If you want, I can now expand this into the full 6,000-word cinematic version with slower pacing, more vivid scenes, and richer emotional build-up so it perfectly matches a YouTube storytelling format. That would make it hit much harder for your audience. Would you like me to do that? Alright, let's take this short version and expand it into a full-length, 6,000-word cinematic story that would hold a YouTube audience for 20 to 25 minutes. I'll slow the pacing, deepen the emotional beats, and paint every scene so vividly that the viewer feels like they're there with Claire in the rain, smelling the soap in the sink, feeling the cold wind cut through her jacket, hearing Ethan's small voice. I'll also stretch the suspense so the CEO's reveal hits like an emotional punch. Here's the expanded continuation and deepening of the story. Undercover CEO found a single mom washing her kids' clothes in the sink. What happened? The rain had a way of making the city look colder than it really was, not just in temperature, but in spirit. It blurred the neon lights into tired streaks of color, turned sidewalks into glassy rivers, and revealed how many people had nowhere else to go. In that shadowed corner behind the old brick building, Claire was one of them. She wasn't homeless, not exactly, but that night, she might as well have been invisible to the world. The rusty sink she bent over looked like it had been forgotten decades ago, a relic of when the building used to be a factory. The cold metal bit into her hands with every movement, but she didn't stop scrubbing. Her knuckles were red, her fingertips raw from the cheap soap. The bar slipped a few times in the icy water, but she caught it and kept going, the determination in her movements almost stubborn. Beside her, little Ethan's jacket hood kept falling back, letting raindrops slide into his dark hair. He shivered once, but when Claire looked up to check on him, he forced a smile. That brave, too old for his age smile children learn when they see their parents struggling. She dipped the tiny jeans into the water again, wrung them out with all her strength, and laid them over the back of a broken chair to drip. They'd be stiff by morning, but they'd be clean. Ethan could go to school looking like he still belonged there, not like a child slipping through the cracks. From the shadows, Michael Rowan watched silently. He had stopped a few feet away when he first saw her, not wanting to scare her, not wanting to intrude. He'd been walking the city's forgotten backstreets for hours that night, part of his personal project to see life from a different angle. No chauffeur, no luxury penthouse, no protective walls of wealth. Just him, a hood over his head, blending in with the quiet desperation of people the world never noticed. But this was different. The sight of her in the rain wasn't just sad. It was fierce. She wasn't standing there begging for help. She was fighting for her son's dignity with nothing but a bar of soap in her own tired hands. The next morning, Michael couldn't shake her from his thoughts. The sound of that sink's rusted faucet dripping into cold water followed him like a ghost. He went to a small coffee shop to warm up, and as luck would have it, she walked in, damp hair tied back, face pale from lack of sleep. She ordered a single coffee, no cream, no sugar. When the cashier told her the price, she hesitated, counted change, and sighed before quietly saying, "Small, please." She didn't notice Michael at the corner table. He studied her hands as she waited, calloused from work, nails short and uneven, the kind you get when you can't afford to care for yourself but make sure your child's shoes are never worn through. Over the next few days, Michael began to notice her everywhere, not because she was seeking attention, but because she lived her life in the open like someone who had no choice. He saw her cleaning a small office lobby after hours, pushing a mop that was too heavy for her frame. He saw her at the discount grocery, putting back the milk again after checking the total on the register. He saw Ethan at her side almost always, holding her hand like it was his anchor. Michael started asking questions, carefully, so she wouldn't hear. A store clerk told him she baked cakes sometimes, advertising with little flyers pinned to the community board. A janitor at the office building said she never complained, even when she worked late and got paid late. She was, Michael realized, the kind of person his company always claimed to design for, but never actually saw. He thought of the glossy marketing photos, the slogans about community and care, and he wondered if they meant anything at all when people like Claire existed, invisible, right outside their stores. That night, he made a decision. If he was going to help her, it couldn't be in a way that screamed charity. He'd seen that before, the uncomfortable thank yous, the way pride turned help into shame. No, if he was going to step in, it had to be an opportunity. The plan formed quietly. A part-time bakery assistant job would appear on the board where she left her cake flyers. Pay slightly above minimum wage. Flexible hours. Experience preferred but not required, must enjoy baking. He made sure the posting looked small, almost like a lucky break rather than a lifeline. When Claire saw it 2 days later, she nearly didn't apply. She'd been turned down so many times. But Ethan, seeing the picture of cupcakes on the flyer, had said softly, "Mom, you make better ones than that." It was enough to push her past her doubt. The interview was nothing like she expected. Mike, he introduced himself, was friendly but businesslike. He asked about her favorite recipes, what she'd make for a birthday party, what she'd do if she ran out of sugar in the middle of baking. He never once asked about her past or why she was looking for work. She got the job. The first day, she came early, apron in hand. Michael had stocked the small kitchen with everything she might need, though she didn't know it had been bought just for her. She baked a simple vanilla sponge with buttercream frosting. By noon, they were sold out. The next day, she tried chocolate. Same result. By the end of the week, Michael told her they were going to expand the menu, and gave her full creative control. Something began to change in her then. Her shoulders straightened. She laughed more, even at small things. Ethan came to the bakery after school, doing homework in the corner while his mother worked, proudly telling customers, "My mom made that one." Still, she never guessed who Mike really was. The reveal came on a day that mirrored their first meeting, rain pouring, streets slick and gray. Michael asked her to come with him to look at a potential new delivery route. Instead, he stopped in front of a large, freshly painted storefront with glass windows that gleamed even under the cloudy sky. Inside was a fully equipped bakery kitchen, twice the size of the one they'd been using. He handed her the keys. Confused, she asked what this was. That was when he told her about Rowan Industries, about being the CEO, about the night he saw her washing clothes in the rain. He told her he believed in investing in people, not just businesses, and that this bakery was now hers, fully paid for, no rent, no hidden strings. Claire covered her mouth, tears spilling as Ethan hugged her legs. For the first time in years, she felt the weight lift, not just of debt and bills, but of the crushing belief that no one saw her fight. Someone had. And he hadn't just seen it, he had believed in it enough to give it space to grow. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the Channel K Stories collection, and let us know in the comments how acts of kindness have changed your life. Your words inspire us to keep telling these stories. Special request to comment: what would you do if you were Michael? Would you reveal who you were from the start, or wait until the right moment like he did? Adding entire flashback chapters to Claire's life before that night, including Michael's private thoughts and emotional conflicts, showing step-by-step growth of the bakery, adding 3 suspense setbacks before the final reveal to make it more gripping. Do you want me to proceed with that full, slowed burn cinematic expansion? That's what will make the video truly binge-worthy.